Brother man, look me for eyes. I am just a child. Don't come running, running, running to push me down.
They say home is where the heart is, but there are times when the heart goes numb and feelings disappear. In despair, you long for an opium, a promise that you are not left behind, that you are found, that you are not lost, and at all costs, you are free at last.
My name is Toyin. I am Ireti's sister. My sister was a victim of human trafficking.
I am Ireti. I was taken away from my family when I was just 12 years old.
Ignorance raised to the power of carelessness equals destruction. The ability to know right from wrong and follow instruction is great gain. The people of Olubiyo were too occupied with their simple sedentary lifestyle that they forget nowhere is too small for danger to penetrate. There has been various news about this danger, but they worry less. According to them, only a bastard misses his way home.
We were already hearing news about the missing children, but none of us were paying attention to it. We felt as though it was another rumor, another side talk, and I didn't pay attention to it, nor did our parents pay attention to it. They felt like as long as I am with my sister, she is safe, and we together, we are safe. So there was nothing to fear.
At that time, children at school have started to go missing.
The difference between a good and a bad parent is attention and the lack of it. Even though news has been spreading in Olubiyo on the waves of missing children, the nonchalant parents will still send an 8-year-old to fetch salt across the street at 9 p.m. or the 13-year-old boy who was made to travel alone to make oil delivery for his mother to a place he has never been. These are issues. By now, you could guess these children didn't make it back.
I told my sister my fears. I was only a child.
Ireti and I had a good sister relationship, and I know everything about her. I know all her friends. I know what she would do and what she would not do. So, the point where I asked her to wait for me and then she disobeyed me actually surprised me.
I didn't disobey my sister. She left me behind.
Misunderstanding has an unsolicited power of destruction. It is known to bring down the Tower of Babel, caused rifts between nations, scattered relationships. It is always fun tearing something away from another. This time, sisters from each other.
It was a Sunday afternoon. We just finished from church and people were trooping out in their numbers. We wanted to wait for our parents. They were workers in church and they usually stay behind to finish up some things, but we were asked to go home. And this was at the heat of the missing children saga. So I asked my sister to wait for me, that I forgot something in the church. I went back to pick my scarf. Then when I got to the church, I couldn't find it, so I stayed for some minutes to look for my scarf. And by the time I came back, I couldn't find her there.
My sister forgot her scarf inside the church and she quickly rushed back to pick it. As soon as my sister left, someone grabbed me from behind and covered my mouth. I tried to free myself, but the grip was too strong. I got knocked out.
I still blame myself till today for going back, because if I didn't go back to the church to look for a mere scarf, such wouldn't have happened to my sister.
Obedience is better than sacrifice. No sacrifice comes without its lessons, without pain, without leaving something behind.
When I finally woke up, I saw different children in that place. They were a shadow of themselves, and I was now part of them. I saw horrible things. Children were being sold off. We went through terrible beating and abuse. The only thing I could do at that time was to wait for my sister. I knew she would come get me somehow.
I felt like that day was the darkest moment in my life. I spent time wailing and crying, looking for my sister. We searched. Honestly, we looked for her. And I didn't want to leave where we were. I didn't want to go home that particular night. I stayed. And when people were asking me, what else do you want? What else are you looking for? We've searched and searched. We would inform the police later. We would inform the king later. We would inform another search party later. I told them in our native language, Yoruba, that Ireti, yes, that I was looking for Ireti. I was waiting for her.
My experience with the traffickers was a nightmare. They beat me and forced me to do horrible things against my will. A child like me was killed before my eye too.
One would wonder if the Creator ever regretted creating humanity, and how inhumane and soulless they've grown to become, that even a child is no longer safe. What has become of us?
When I asked our parents that, is this how we are going to leave Ireti behind? Is Ireti going to be one of those forgotten children? And they replied me and said, who are we to question God? And I wondered, God, Ireti was taken from church, the house of God. It's dawned on me then that no child is safe anywhere, even in churches. The devil now attends mass. Child traffickers are everywhere. They are lurking at every corner, looking for the next child to prey upon.
Desperation fuels determination. When all hope seems lost, the light within us drives us forward, refusing to let us surrender.
Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Each day was a battle for survival. I just held on to the hope that my sister would find me.
7 months later, I stepped out of the house one evening and I overheard some people conversing about some new anti-trafficking agents in town. I was actually excited and anxious at the same time because that was the first time we are hearing something like that. And I was probably thinking maybe they were here because of what was rampant in our town. So I summoned the courage to approach one of the officers and I told him my story. And he saw desperation in my eyes. All I was just telling him that I want my sister back. Not only do I want her back, I want all other children to come back home with her.
A single spark of hope can ignite the fire of change. In the darkest times, it takes just one brave soul to stand up and fight.
The first anti-corrupt agent I met was Agent Kola.
I am Agent Kola. I led the team fighting against human trafficking.
He was very, very helpful. He carried out a series of investigations. He was up and doing. He carried out a lot of research and he did interviews with people, asking them what they know. And he told me that his team would carry out the operation in the coming months.
When Toyin came to me with the story of her sister's disappearance, we went through the operation. We do the investigation.
All I know is that no child deserves that kind of trauma. No child should be taken away unjustly. No child should be left behind.
It is very, very difficult for us to get them, but it is my pleasure that they were caught feed. I'm very, very happy to reunite the sisters and save the other children.
Human trafficking is a crime, and we need collective action, both individual and governmental action, to tackle this issue. We must make the world a safer place for our children. I mean, if we say it is none of our business, we don't know what child is next. We don't know whose child is next. It could be me, it could be you, it could be anyone. I want us to take Ireti's story and make a promise to ourselves that we would be our brother's keeper.
Promises are propellers of the future. For Ireti, fate was on her side. Although she wasn't left behind intentionally by her sister, it was all a misunderstanding. Caution still needs to be taken, because nowhere is safe for a child. Luckily for her, she was found and reunited with family. Ireti's story is only one of the many child trafficking victim cases. Her story inspired change and a call to action for her sister, who made a promise of dedication to advocate against human trafficking and child trafficking, leaving no one behind, leaving no child behind. That was the promise.
This is a public service announcement. There is a new form slavery in town. Its binding chains does not rattle. Subtle as it is, yet strong enough to gaggle the unsuspecting off to the next ship across the Atlantic. Shine your eyes, my brothers. This is a call to order. To avoid more stories that touch and cases untouched, the time to speak up against human trafficking is now. Time is ticking. Are you still thinking? Think about this. How right is it for a man to sell his brother? Man to man, us to us crime, a stampede on our humanity. Be aware now, for the battle line has been drawn. Join in the fight.